have to be a committee of the whole, where we have a meeting and then we talk about things that new board members may not know about how the operation of the county goes. And general, not any specific stuff, but generalizations like how much of our budget goes towards personnel costs and where does that money come from? You know, how do we bring in that income stream in order to pay that cost? Because it increases at a greater rate than the CPI. And that's the most we can increase property taxes, and property taxes are a third of our budget. So, you know, that kind of stuff. So they have a better idea of what the working, how the county works, how it creates its income, how it pays its bills. Then we can start looking at what are our priorities and what can we afford to do and what can't we afford to do. What things are legal for a county to do that a municipality, you know, we can't do that a municipality can do. You know, we're not a home rule county. We're not a home rule county in Illinois is full county. And municipalities can do things that we can't do. What are those things? You know, because we see the city of Joliet does this, does that. It's like, well, why can't we do that? Well, we can't because we're a county code, not on a municipal code. That kind of information to me would be very valuable if I was coming in today. I mean, the only reason I know as much about stuff as I know is because the first 4 years I was in office, I was in Nick's office every day. I was in there every morning just about to find, you know, what does this do and how does that work, and you know, and not, he can't have 26 people. He can't have 26 people in his office every day, but I think we can get some of those things, the general things that the county does in order to operate, sustain itself, and get there where we can explain them to the new members and the old members alike. And so everybody
and you raised an excellent point, Don. And to that end, Laura is putting together a binder, and I believe it's going to be available on Thursday.
Yes, Thursday for the county, the big board meeting, the 21st. We wanted to have it today, actually. But we threw so much stuff at Mike Thompson over in records, or Nick, what's the
To print it out.
Records management?
Records management. It is records management. I'm new too. I'm in Nick's office every day. But to do that, Don, to your point also, we're gonna have like a seminar type, budget 101.
Because a lot of people don't learn by books.
It's on the schedule, the workshop, the budget workshop should be, I believe it went on
March 8th.
March 8th.
And we'll have some other workshops going through, so that we take the pieces that are most complicated, so that people have a chance.
We're trying to work so that everybody doesn't have to take off work every day for, or 7 or 8 days in the first 3 months, so.
Early on, Beth Rice and I met with the newbies and discussed all of the stuff that they had questions on. And we made a list and compiled a list of all their questions. Turned them over to Maura since she's putting together the training program.
And that after being around for 2.5 months now, they got a lot more questions.
Right, yeah.
That's what,
And at this point they can feel free to email any more questions or any new questions to Maura directly.
Yep.
Right, she's putting that together, so that'll be out, and then.
Let me know what's missing if you'd like to see something.
Just like we had the land use, when there'll be one for budget, there'll be some other departments where there'll be workshops.
Solar this week, Valentine's Day, solar.
And it's a great idea that fits in.
Mark, can I add?
Sure.
Maura, I think one of my main questions were, and I know I've contacted you, like, if there's an issue, what department do I go to? Is it Public Works and Transportation? Is it Land Use? Who's in charge?
You mean like for what happened this past week?
Just any, for any new board member.
That's going to be.
Do I call the director himself? Do I call Maura Dunn? Do I email Maura Dunn and she just dispatches the question to the certain department? So I think maybe if we could all get on the same page with that, or at least know who do we contact? Do we need to be bothering the director of a certain department when he or she has staff?
Yeah, and that's a good question, Joe. And the way that process works is you should either be contacting Maura or Caucus leader or me. And then we will then be able to know if there are already somebody is working on that and being able to funnel that out, so that you're not calling people, for instance, you're not on the state's attorney's phone, that's counterproductive. Because they need to be doing the work that we've assigned to them, and that they have to do, or not on the staff all the time. So if you send those emails or give those phone calls to either Maura or me, or the caucus leaders, and we said the same thing in the other caucus, then we know what else is already out there that's along the same line. We can funnel those appropriately, so that people are not getting 15, 20 calls from every place. So that's helpful. An example would be the other weekend with Glenwood, I sent you down the note about what was happening with FEMA and Alabama, because we're already working on that. So that way you don't have to call Harold and do all of that. I've already arranged for you to contact you. I've done that.
Typically, my phone is on from 6 a.m. till 9 at night. It's pretty much late out at 9. I mean, yeah. Well, I'll still take a voicemail, and if I see a voicemail pop up on that screen, I'll call you back.
And if you call me and don't leave a voicemail,
We will have that.
you won't hear from me.
Yeah.
All right.
Listen.
So, we seem to have covered those, that item pretty well. Anybody else got anything else?
Very well.
Okay.
So I guess I have something for the second one. When we're trying to get something on an agenda, you know, we send it to staff, we send it to Denise. If we don't hear anything back, I feel like there's some things I've asked to have an agenda, but I don't hear anything back one way or the other, and I don't know how to take that. Like, what does that mean?
Well, two things. For one, this is about the committees today because we haven't had the time we posted this agenda. So that's what those assignments are. If you're asking to have something assigned to a particular committee, you talk to the chair of that committee. That is our process. So you talk to the chair of the committee. If you're asking to have it assigned to executive, talk to me. When you have asked me, anybody, I'm speaking of all of you, have asked me about a particular thing as assigned to a committee, I've talked to you about that and said where that stood. So, talk to the chair of the committee, just like today was legislative committee, and people contacted Jackie about things they wanted to have on that. For land use, same thing. The chair of that, talk to the land use committee chair and see about putting that on. Now, just because you asked to have it put on doesn't mean it will happen. There may be other things afoot. There may be work being done, it may be too soon, any number of reasons why it may not appear right then. But that is the process. You contact the committee chair to have it put on that agenda. If you give it to staff, what they're going to do is the same thing. They're going to go right to the chair and say, this is what got asked for. Did you know about this? Did you say okay for me to put this on? So, simpler to just start with the chair rather than have staff have to go back to the chair to backtrack what you just asked for. But that is the process.
All right. Well, since we're at this point, let's start off with committee reports and go to Tyler for his report for today.
What are we going to do, the special county board assignment?
The county board assignments is the two committees that met today.
Oh, I got you, sorry.
Yeah, and the reason they're listed is that because they weren't a part of the committee reports because they hadn't met at the time the agenda was posted.
All right, well, today we had our meeting. We tabled the zoning case for Segal's Farm because he wants to wait until we have our agritourism classification, so that's what he feels that he wants to be under, so that's what we're going to do. We also tabled for Lenny's liquor out in Amanda's district, so we can get our liquor ordinances straightened out. That's a mess. If you want to know more about that, watch the video. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Yeah, he was there, so he has it all on film. Yeah, so it was a kind of a long one, but it was good conversations. We also went over the procedures for our liquor ordinances and how it gets done. The main point was that a lot of people thought that we should be voting on the special use permit and the additional liquor license at the same time, which we're still working out. I recommended doing it where, and if it's either a permissible use or not permissible use in certain districts, so that way we just eliminate the special use permit for selling liquor and make it easier for residents. We still have our say because of the number of liquor licenses, but we'll be discussing that again next month. Anything else anybody wants to take care of aside for Maurie's district?
I was only there for part of the legislative meeting. Denise, can you talk about legislative?
I
Since
can't.
Jackie's not here and neither is Beth Rice.
Okay. And the legislative committee, thank you, Mark, what we did was we had a report out for Warehouse Workers for Justice about the temp staff. And some of you, those of you who were there, may know that in the past, I have been a member of the Warehouse Workers for Justice Subcommittee, Jackie and I both. And I was also on the Women's Foundation for Warehouse Workers, the Defense Fund. And we marched at Walmart. Schneider Logistics has now become a part, or has absented themselves for the process. Walmart has done has decided to do all of their hiring staff and whatever in-house. They had before done that through Schneider. That was what we had marched against. So they have direct control over who is hired, what the wages are, whether it's temporary, whether it's part-time, whether it's permanent, all of that in-house, which is a major coup for us in terms of that particular company. In terms of the overall intermodal part, there is still work to be done around whether or not we use temporary staff, which will always be a part of the mix. We say that funny, that will always be a part of the mix. But how much of the overall mix is included as temporary and what the guidelines are that are used for temporary. So that was a big part of the discussion, presentation this morning. Roberta Clack is there from the Warehouse Workers for Justice.
Okay, thanks.
The other,
I thought you said, I'm sorry. It sounded like you were ending. I'm sorry.
and I am ending that part. Did you want to do the entire legislative or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Or what? Okay. The other things that are up is a review of our state agenda. We are currently working on the state agenda. We will probably finish that up next month instead of this because we have prioritized the federal agenda to be done first because we are going to DC in March with the federal agenda, so we will finish that. The state agenda is a tier down from the federal, and we will finish that up later. We've already checked to verify that there is not a negative impact for us by tearing down and doing the state agenda a little bit later. That allows us to get more input from our departments in the county, for instance, from the county clerk's office around voting, voter suppression, all of those pieces, to get our information that we need from the probation courts, to get input from the health departments, all the other people that are part of our overall state's agenda. And the thing I want to point out is that even though things may not be listed in our state agenda booklet, because we do try to have a sharp focus for that, they are still a part of our radar overall, and we are still working those items. They need to be handled as a one-off with particular legislators that sit on that committee. So just because you don't see it in the state agenda does not mean we're not working on it. We may be doing it directly as a handoff with a particular person. Maybe somebody sits on the appropriations committee, or they sit on the health and welfare committee, or they sit on the education committee, or whatever that might be. And so we are working those pieces directly with them. So that is going forward, and we continue to work on that. Nick and Maurie have done yeoman's work in terms of trying to move both those pieces forward. We decided to focus primarily on the federal, because it's coming up sooner, but we do need to do that. And then as we finish that, finalize, then we'll move to the state agenda.
All right, thank you very much, Denise. Now it's time to introduce to you the best man in Bolingbrook, Mr. Ken Harris, Finance Committee Chair.
Older than the last time I said.
I would have said you, Nick, but
West side, basically.
he's bigger than you. He's bigger than you. I might just stand a chance.
And there's food if you guys want to eat.
Yeah, pizzas are okay, gotta get stuff by us. Yeah, you go.
Recess and then we can.
Sure.
After 5 minutes.
Let's take a 5-minute break and attack the food.
I got here first.
We had a meeting last week. Resolution amending the $6,000 for the Rural County Treasurer. So it passed. We have appropriation grant fund within the sheriff budget. That's been sent back to the sheriff for the we do the resolution as far as distribution.
And could I add that they did already bring that new information forward and it'll be second on
Thursday, okay, that's right. We also had a presentation on the other post-employment benefit by Karen Dempsey. There's an update and also the purpose of that committee. Pretty much a discussion. We had a status update on the bond issue. There's also brought forward last week at the executive committee meeting. Brought forward again this week. We have some questions regarding the status of the bond. We'll discuss that Thursday in the And then appropriation for a pass-through grant funds. Transferring appropriation within the county budget is a year and cleanup type. We also had an alternate for the county executive for the tax program. Pretty straightforward. Controversial.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Don Moran, transportation and public works.
Nothing spectacular, but we had, we authorized the Will County State's attorney to start the process and proceed with condemnation cases regarding the county's improvements of Bridge Street from I-80 to Washington Street. We had a resolution granting ingress and egress for a vacant lot on Center Road. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was for farm access. The next one was granting variance for 4 Oak subdivision on Ford Road, which was, I think it's a piece of property that's getting subdivided in 4 lots. There's going to have 2 common driveways. There's a share between the 2 over here and 2 over there. We did that. We had discussion, the county engineer discussed upcoming Will County Department of Transportation projects for 2019 through 2024. There's also discussion of potential Will County Department of Transportation projects as seen in the eyes of the 2019 Illinois Association of County Engineers and what they think the revenue needs are for counties throughout the state. And we had approval of a 1-year extension of the Bill of Road Phase 2 Consultant Program Coordinator as allowed under Resolution 18-16, Section 7.3, which was essentially up to $1 million for consulting engineer for Phase 2 engineering and also some small construction management. There was big turn at nothing, and there was reports on work status, construction work status, and Phase 2 summary status. That's it.
Thanks, Don. Mr. Markham, once again, judicial.
So judicial, back in October, when Darren Benefield was still the sheriff, the sheriff's department had brought forth a bunch of ordinance amendments that they would have liked, that they wanted updated or changed. So we had a discussion about them again just to see what we were interested in. And since Bob Contro has retired and Brian
Concert.
I always want to say his last name wrong. He took over and he kind of had different recommendations. So at our next meeting, we're going to discuss our ordinance that deals with the possession of cannabis, because currently it reads that it's not, violations can be issued for 2.5 grams to 10 grams. We want to look at changing it for anything under 10 grams. It's more of a language cleanup. since it's kind of strange that you can get caught with 10 grams and, you know.
Can you confirm that they're talking about doing writing an ordinance ticket for that? Is that what their type of ticket they're writing?
Yeah, I would believe so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yes.
And then we're also looking at adding language for medical marijuana, since our ordinance was passed before the state had medical marijuana laws. So we're gonna look into that. We'll probably be revisiting it within a year, I would imagine. Then the next one that we're gonna talk about are parking regulations in cul-de-sacs. There has been an issue where, with parking in cul-de-sacs, where people were, let me get the phrasing right, pointing in, so they weren't parking parallel to the curb. They were pointing their cars in because they didn't have enough parking for their vehicles. Yeah, and it was an issue out in Frankfurt Township, I believe. So it's really just a decision that if the committee has to make, if we want to allow point-in parking. It sounds like on garbage day and the fire department needs to get out there, there might be some issues. So we're going to discuss that again at our next committee meeting. And then everybody's favorite, our burning ordinance. But this was not for yard waste, this was for garbage burning. People was burning garbage and construction debris. Currently, our ordinance gives a $35 fine when it costs a dump. It costs you about $300 to get a dumpster. So we're actually going to make it more expensive to not burn something. Like it's going to be more expensive if you burn than if you would just do it right. So that's just really something that was overlooked, and we're going to clean it up. So the judicial is up and rolling and doing good work. It's the most fun committee I've said.
Hey Maura, when I had asked about the marijuana current legislation, I mean, I definitely want to know that because I don't know what the Illinois law is on marijuana. But the other thing is I wanted to see what was being possibly discussed, and maybe it's no bearing since it's not been passed, but you know, the governor, the state, the house.
You mean like what bills are pending that would make it like recreational versus?
Right,
Okay.
like is there talk about the governor passing marijuana as a legal substance, and how will that affect us?
We can talk to our lobbyist, Julie Curry, so that we just, you know, kind of go through the proper channels for us, so we don't usurp them, because we pay them to do that kind of stuff. And we can ask her to pull up the bills that deal with the marijuana laws and, you know, what exactly they think. Back to the ordinance thing that Tyler was talking about, you know, I think the sheriffs made a point that, you know, they were unable to charge something that was like seeds. With, so they just, that was for the language cleanup on that. But I can look, we can ask Julie Curry about that other issue.
Yeah, because I know I read an article where there's been like 3 different bills, and it's like crazy different. So that'll be good to know.
What brought about the burning? What issues brought that up?
Somebody in the sheriff's department, I guess, was notified that somebody was burning construction waste, and then when they went through the ordinance, it was just a $35.
Can I mean, just to advise you, and I can call whoever at the sheriff's department that was dealing with it, but that's also a violation of the Environmental Protection Act. So that's a criminal act. They could be charged criminally for burning garbage. And so I don't know if they were aware of that.
Okay,
But we can do that as well.
Because that's better than a fine. De-incentivizing.
Now, maybe they weren't burning enough, so if it's just in their backyard and they were burning, but if it's a big, you know, like a contractor or something who's burning, that to me is a bigger issue and ought to be a violation under the Environmental Protection Act.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember. He said, and I think it was somebody in their backyard, like they were doing a remodel and they were burning like cabinets or something. Or
all right, so you may not want to do a criminal charge with that.
Yeah, but and it was just $35 or $300. I mean,
I know in the past we already had some discussion when you go from 35 to 300. So as far as making a profit, that's why I was doing that.
$835, so most people just pay $45.
But yeah, instead of getting a dumpster.
Instead of going through that.
I understand that.
I haven't ever
Just
done
saying,
that.
have a good discussion. See, I would think the project.
But that would be it for judicial, unless you guys want to, that's work on stuff.
Thanks, Tyler. Next is Lori Summers with Public Health and Safety.
Did a meeting at Sunny Health. It's a good meeting, very good meeting. I think that there was a lot of stuff brought forward. Becky did a lot last time about how she was approved. And, you know, the questions that were raised at the one meeting when there was a private meeting about what they were saying and stuff. So it was very, very good. And these guys got to do a tour and got to see what a fabulous place it is. So they can speak to it, but I think that they have to.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I'm super impressed with it. Part of the orientation process.
Right, it was
More big too.
Yes,
Yes,
it
it
is.
is.
And then we had a young woman, I believe, what school was she from, Benedictine?
She went, yeah, she's a student at Benedictine, she went to Chicago, and she came out, she's getting her master's, and so part of that is coming to meetings like ours, so. She's gonna hang out with us more.
Yeah,
She's gonna go to the health department tour, all this stuff.
She was pretty excited, so.
All right.
Oh, and we are changing our meetings to the first Wednesday of the month, correct, September? Is that what you put forward with Stan? That's what I put forward to you, and I talked to Beth about it today.
Okay.
Yes.
Lori, one question, there's one question that comes, we looked at this year's calendar and next year's calendar. And before, we have to publish the dates because it's a change to what has been published. But there's 1 month where the Thursday is the first day of the month. And the Forest Preserve would actually meet on the last day of the previous month.
Correct, so we're not going to just about, because there's the one day. The Forest Preserve District, that's 1 day. It'll always be the first Wednesday of the month.
That's what we were
Regardless,
doing.
we're okay by it, because they're gonna be, they may,
Because
if
every
there's
time that the month falls like that, that would be a change. So, but regardless of how the Forest Preserve meets, or when the month falls, the first Wednesday.
Correct.
Even if it is not Forest Preserve.
Correct, and I made that, I actually talked to Beth about that.
Okay, there was
So-
just a question, and I know it happens once this year and
And
once
once-
during 2020.
2020, because that Wednesday is the last day of the month, so that's why the Forest Preserve District meets then. So, okay?
We'll get that
First
requested.
Wednesday every month.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, next is capital improvements. Who's got that?
Yes, me.
Okay. Fire it up.
We had some more discussion about bonding, I guess, when we had reports on construction at the courthouse. Over 800 people have gone through orientation to work there so far. That doesn't mean there's 800 people that are on a job, but that means that 800 people have gone through the trailer to get safety briefing and now background check.
Yeah,
Zero lost time accidents so far in the first year.
That's really important.
And we had reports on the health department and the dog catcher and the buildings, which are, they haven't decided yet whether it's
That was the master plan. The big
oh, the
master
master
plan.
plan. There was a short discussion on the master plan that'll be.
I did that. That leaves one more committee, the executive committee, and that's Denise.
And then there was a groundbreaking at the top.
This is from this week, so those are all the things that we discussed. Okay, and for many of you were at the executive committee, we have, it's pretty straightforward, we have tax abatement, El Giro has been on the agenda a couple of times, we have moved it back because they hadn't finished the write-up of that, that's going forward. United Way, which is our standard application for them, standard donation to them is going forward. Last transportation master plan, which is Van Schneider, that's a regular thing, or it is now, and that's going forward. Most of you were at the executive committee. Are there questions at all about the executive committee agenda? Or any items that were on the executive committee? Okay, and I'll just add one thing to that. This is coming Thursday on the executive committee. Jim Harvey will speak to two things. One is to agritourism. He will have some preliminary, thank you, Maria. He will have some preliminary language for agritourism. And if you were at the land use committee today, you know that we are splitting out agritourism from package sales. So he will have some preliminary language for agritourism, liquor licensing, that he will have forward at the executive committee on Thursday. So it's totally separate from packaged goods. The other thing is that on, well, not on Thursday, but as a part of this group, we will, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go. No, I want to back us up because, so that's it for executive committee at this point.
That's okay. Is there any other new business?
I have some new business. I brought this up at the last caucus. I'm going to bring it up here again. We have a ban on gambling. And I am interested in getting some feedback. I got a little bit of feedback from Dawn and Jackie last time. Annette has gone to her caucus to get some feedback, and they are going to mix that. Jackie has agreed to put this on the legislative agenda for us to discuss, or for the legislative agenda to discuss, I should say. I looked up some pros and cons onto it. I looked at some of the past history in the area. There have been some newspaper articles written about this, and they jump around from being in favor based on some of the money it brings in to not in favor based on people's perceptions of what they believe gambling should be. So the county itself has a ban, and I have it somewhere in here. And when it was passed, it was not like down partisan lines. I mean, this was basically some people were in favor for it and some people were not. The problem is when we put the ban in, we grandfathered in anyone who had those licenses. So there is a perception that some people have it and some people don't. On top of that, you have home rule areas like Joliet that allows it, so they also then have places that have it. So it's not like an all or nothing thing right now, and that's causing some frustrations among members who want it. So for example, in my area, there's an unincorporated Lockport, has the Elks Lodge. Well, they feel video gambling would boost the numbers. In fact, in one of these newspaper articles, that's exactly what the American Legion did to boost their numbers. And they talk about how that basically saved their organization. So there's also
where?
This one is in Joliet. And they said they don't have any problems with it because they follow all the rules. They brought in, included $4,000 in new chairs that they bought with the money, $25,000 for a remodeled bathroom. They were able to give back to the community, which included $5,000 in Christmas celebrations of local veterans and their family. So for them, the video gambling has been very successful. I know there's a VFW in Frankfurt that is also an unincorporated little county, and so they're not allowed to have it as well. So, oh, it is incorporated. Okay, I didn't realize that. I thought it was unincorporated. So, I spoke with Larry Walsh. I believe Denise has spoke with Larry Walsh Jr. about what the state is doing. I spoke to him this weekend, and he said that nothing is happening quickly on the state level. And when it comes to video gambling, that may get rolled into a bigger gambling bill anyway, which may not address the needs of what the person at the Elks Club would like to see. So Annette and I discussed it about bringing it back and removing the ban so everything would fall under the state law.
Denise is next.
Okay, just so that you know, video gambling, we currently have a resolution banning that, that's true. We currently have that on the books, and I have asked Annette, and she's agreed that she will talk in her caucus about what people's temperature is or appetite is for video gaming, and the same thing is happening here, to understand what people's appetite is for video gaming. Currently, what we allow is restaurants, obviously, you know, heroes they have it, Holiday Inn, those kinds of things, that's already there. The state currently allows for video gaming. Will County has a ban for video gaming, because what we did not want at the time we put the resolution in was a proliferation of video gaming. Excuse me, and talking with Larry Jr. downstate, what he is looking at is what the impact is overall, what it is we actually want in Will County as a body overall, and then he would work with us on that. So he is not, at this point, moving anything forward until we have better direction for him about what we want. So that's where it stands. I understand that the VFWs would like to be separated out from other entities so that they, because they're increasing numbers, could bring in video gaming, which increases their revenues. The Elks Club on 171 is the one that I met with. They, along with many others, want to put that in, and they want to do it under, whether they do it as 501c3 or however way they do that, want to do that separate from the C3. But however way they do that, separate from the overall restrictions on video games. So the thing before us tonight is, what is the flavor of this group? Do you want to open that resolution? And Mary, I'm asking you to weigh in about, if we open that resolution, which currently is a ban, can we restrict for particular groups, or can we, are we obligated to open it across the board?
My recollection is we could not pick and choose. We're not home rule. The statute allows video gaming, but it is for everything. It doesn't say the county may choose to allow it in this place and not that place. So I'm pretty sure we looked into that before.
Thank you. I thought that was our understanding, but I want to be clear, because if we open the resolution that we currently hold, which is a ban, then we open it to everybody. So there are some impacts to that for us as a county.
It's a ban on anything new, right?
Correct. People
Yes.
were grandfathered in because once they had the license, that's a property right, you can't
But the
take property.
state does not restrict, so if we open our resolution, then we open it to everybody, which means then that gas stations, whatever, places like Lily's, who wanted to have machines before, all of those people would be in line, and we would not be able to say no to them.
Right.
So all those people would be in the lineup. If I understand you correctly, Mary, we would have to allow them as well. We cannot pick and choose. We could not say the C4s are the only ones. And what we really wanted was to be able to offer some relief to VFWs, Elks Lodges, those kinds of places to beef up their revenues. But if you open the resolution, you have to make it open to everybody.
Can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
This may be totally impossible, but would it be possible to do them like liquor licenses where?
Mary?
I'm sorry.
Mimi is asking, is it possible to treat the video gaming licenses as we do liquor licenses?
Like say we have a set number?
No, the statute sets forth
Because the state
who's
already
eligible.
says everybody.
So it says you can allow video gaming, and if you allow it, these entities can get it.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's just an opt-in or opt-out.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
And I
the
was
state already has a law.
asking Mary, because I thought Jim Harvey had said they have to have a pour license. A class of liquor license where they're pouring the drink at
There-
it versus.
So there are different types, and I'd have to review the statute, but I know one for sure was truck stops. They don't have to pour at truck stops, but they can have video gaming at truck stops. So there were like fraternal organizations that can do it. There were establishments that actually pour liquor could do it, but I know truck stops were also. So there were these different categories.
So you could restrict it if you didn't give them a tour license.
Either that or they're not one of those other
It's
organizations.
more restrictive. the states, you know.
But you just said that you have to have a pour license in order to be able to have video camera. If you don't give a pour license, then you can't.
That was one of the things that falls under they can get. If they have a license, external organization.
I have no problem opening it to everybody.
So what we want to know is, for this group, what is your preference? Do you want to open it to everybody, or do you want to leave it as it stands? And right now, it is restricted.
I say, I'm opening it, so.
Yeah, I have no problem opening it.
Across the board. So
Across the board.
everybody- Okay, and that's what we want to count. There, Lana, if you maybe you would get a count.
Winfrey, Markham,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Cook,
No,
Moran, Harris,
No.
Wheeler,
yes.
Van Dyne.
Before I decide or vote, I have a question. I know Rachel said that the VFW or whatever is in favor of it because they want to generate revenue. When this ordinance was passed 4 years ago, what was the discussion on the cons for opening it up? That's at the county level. I would like to hear your
Yeah, why
reasoning for
didn't we
the
do this?
cons before I can decide.
So
Sure,
this,
and what happened at the county was, we had the discussion, and there was a recognition that we wanted to limit the amount of video gaming overall, and we also recognized we already have casinos who do video gaming, and so we wanted not to compete with them. That may not be applicable anymore, but that was what happened at that time.
Also-
And Nick, I'm gonna ask you, Wade, if you remember something beyond that?
I remember a lot of rhetoric about this
Yeah.
was the crack cocaine of gambling.
Yes.
And
that
I think
was
It's
there
not
as
the
well.
gateway drug.
It's a gateway drug. But I also think,
Number of
that-
calls.
I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but I believe when you looked at the revenue that the casinos collected before this and what they lost, you know, whether they lost it because people were going to these things or not, they dropped more than what went up because of I mean, it makes it easier for people to do it. And but the intent originally, my recollection was for those fraternal organizations and things like that to help them, not to like have these pop up everywhere. I know a lot of municipalities, granted, if you go across Joliet and a lot of other communities, Romeoville, they got them everywhere. But it's not really resulting in that much more revenue. So, I mean, if we're not doing it for the revenue, why are we doing it? Just to give people more gaming options? I guess that's. But there was a lot of rhetoric about how horrible this was, which we all know there's plenty of options to game in Illinois. Scratch offs, lottery, horses, off-track betting. So it's really your
was that
personal
the
opinion.
primary
Anonymous was one of
argument?
the resistors as well.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'm, like, follow up on Joe's question, like, the primary reason, which may sound obvious, but what's the primary reason you didn't want a proliferation of these?
Some of it
And
was
we got a lot of feedback from different communities about what that meant in terms of, one of the big pushes, one was from Gamblers Anonymous, because, you know, if you're having an issue, your name is on the list at the casinos, it's not necessarily gas stations, restaurants, whatever. The other was the accessibility for children, underage people being able to go. And, you know, they have the little rope thing, but really, who's monitoring that? So that was another one of the issues, is do you really want that everywhere? Is that who we are as a county? You know, to have video gaming everywhere. What does that do then to other revenue sources? So those were some of the things that came up during that time.
I have preemptively gotten a few emails already from constituents that basically said if that comes up again, we don't want it.
And your area was very strong and very outspoken before about not wanting it.
To me, this is a all or nothing though. The minute we start writing special rules for special people, I mean, we have it here. That's the bottom line, because Joliet has it, Crystal has it, you know, multiple places you guys are saying has it. So you penalize the people who don't have it because they weren't grandfathered in. At the time when this was being pushed, Maurie Singer was the one kind of pushing it. And he's not here, and there were a lot of, nays on here, so.
He wasn't even there for the vote.
So, I mean, I think it's worth reviewing again, since there were, some people who didn't agree that this should be the case.
Okay, we're getting into a big discussion here.
Yeah.
And we were in the middle of a vote, and Joe wanted to know more before he
Yeah,
guessed.
my question got answered, so at this time, I would say no.
Ventura,
Yes.
Alan,
I'm on the fence, but I know that doesn't count. Right now, I'm gonna be no.
Yes.
Should we start doing that at the board meeting?
okay, so I have 5 no and 6 yes.
So what I will do then, going forward, is I agree to share that information with the other caucus, with Mike Frizzalone. We'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about what we go, as we will go as next steps.
Okay. Any other new business?
Oh, I just have one thing to mention. We all got an email from someone at Sunny Hill a week or 2 ago about one of the residents who turns 100 on Thursday. So just a reminder, if you haven't sent, I think her name was Diane, her birthday card, let's get those birthday cards out there.
Or stop down there and sign it.
I forgot about that, thank you. I'm going Thursday.
They told us that the fire department and the police department have called to ask what they can do to, help make this a big deal. So, yeah, they're supposed to be.
When are they gonna do it?
Thursday. Valentine's Day. So what time? They show us pictures and everything. You know what, I didn't.
Oh, we can't, I was like, when do we have to be there?
More wonders to over after meeting. Seriously.
Well, yeah, Mena,
She told us to come over.
have lunch.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is the chairman's report and announcements. I have nothing to add. She has nothing. Okay, public comment. Any public comment?
I'd like to say something.
Sure.
My name's Cornell Darden Jr., and it was just 2 agenda items. One, the liquor license, and the other.
Cornell, could you come down here, we're recording, so, thanks.
It's good.
And it would be, Cornell, just for the record, it would be discussions about the items. You can't put anything on our agenda.
Oh, yeah, discussion about those agenda items, the liquor license, and also the video game. Like Ms. Ventura said, I think it's important to consider one thing in particular when it comes to cases like this is that everybody hasn't been grandfathered in. You got businesses who, for a lot of different reasons, some people would think have a leg up. I represent the business community and the black business community in particular. Can any of you tell me how many black businesses have gaming machines? I know for a fact it's almost zilch, especially our black fraternal organizations like the Helps. And to not allow those individual businesses to have an opportunity because they weren't grandfathered in, to me is horrible. And representing black businesses and fighting for equity, it's something that we always see, especially with the liquor license. Trying to get a liquor license for a convenience store over on I think it's State Street in Fairmont, and of course we remember the resistance there. Again, after everyone else had a liquor license that was grandfathered in, that business isn't able to get there. And we're going to find that time after time with black businesses in particular. So I really urge you guys to reconsider any doubt that we should, not allow those businesses opportunities.
Okay, thanks. Any other public comments? All right, do we need an executive session? I don't think so. And now I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Where's he opposed?